Rorschach is this sort of detective of the story, but at the same time he is psychopathic in his relentless pursuit of justice, or whatever that is.
I mean, it's a guy that just really had a horrible childhood. You know, his mother was a prostitute. She didn't even know Walter's dad's last name. It's gotta not be fun being Rorschach. Because he's been through so much, and where he got tweaked, it's difficult. I don't know that it's one spot, you know? It's just a series of events.
The world is not black and white, so he faces these sort of moral dilemmas every moment, and he's constantly having to sort of reevaluate his own take. Interesting that the character Rorschach, the most loved character as far as fandom goes, is also the character that is the most maniacal and insane, but also sort of unloved.
It is a challenge trying to find those cues that will translate, you know, well from still cartoon imagery to live, moving, real people.
Is vigilante that's all about sort of a black and white moral code, and sort of illustrate that he has a black and white mask that changes and creates different sort of Rorschach patterns on his face as he makes his way through a dark and, in his opinion, morally bankrupt world.
Jackie captures his physique so beautifully with his particular trench coat and his pinstripe fabric that we dyed especially to be our Rorschach purple. Yeah, it's interesting. The evolution of Rorschach's mask was a long and complex one. We developed a printing process onto a fantastic four-way lycra that enabled us to get a great stretch and that beautiful smooth egg-like silhouette that you see in the graphic novel, but at the same time have a sense of a dimensionality and a texture that we printed onto the lycra.
Performing with a sock on my head is what I always say.
The eye holes are very, very large, so you can read the eyebrows and the expression in the eyes.
The idea is so that I can see what's going on, and that so the guys that are actually putting the blood on there can also just see emotionally what was going on during the performance.
He wears that, he emotes, he does everything, and then we take it back into the shop and we track the tracking markers and we replace everything on the face. There are set patterns that define his expressions. Alex McDowell in the art department created about 13 to 15 different hero patterns.
You know, and I think it's that way in the graphic novel as well. If you kind of look at the various blots, it is tied to what's going on with them.
We realized, well, if we're going to be faithful to the graphic novel, we should look at what Dave Gibbons drew, because he was actually pretty specific about what blots he would put into each panel and how they would change sometimes. We wanted to get that level of detail into the film as well. We actually go through a hand-drawn 2D process first, and those are all animated flat. They give us back a sequence, and we look at a high-con version of the sequence. Once we buy off on that animation, we already know how it gets rendered, and then it's just all lighting for the actual textured head that we're replacing in the scene.